So China bans video games for effeminate males. Basically, in their thing, a leaked memo revealed Beijing no longer views video games as entertainment, but instead as a form of art that is responsible for promoting the correct values and understanding a history and culture. But they basically said they're banning any video games that have any effeminate males.
Remember too, where like
Chads only.
Every chick in a video game had just like huge cans, and then girls were like, "Hey, that's all women aren't like that." And then they made them, and now they're like, "All right."
Well, China's going back to the cans.
Back to the cans.
So, but they're saying they're going to all these people. It's kind of like here, where if you turn on any channel, they're kind of saying like there should be more dudes in dresses.
Yep.
And China is saying like no more dudes in dresses.
Thank you.
But it's legitimately the exact opposite. And they were saying that, but it's funny to watch these things and well, the principle only applies when it applies to my value structure. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how so many people see this.
The one thing too with the China thing is like, at least they're a little more consistent than the Germany thing. The Germany thing, they're just doing the shit on the fly. They're like, oh, like whatever, gay fucking parking spots. Whereas in China, this kind of fits in with, they're like, yeah, we have a model of how we're trying to plan this society. Stuff deviates from.
Well, they have a model of how they want to plan this society.
They're trying to course correct.
I can see what you're saying. Yeah, there is.
Well, they've had a longer track record of, I guess, this.
But they they both have a model of how they want to see society. Mm-hmm. One is, slightly more traditional, and the other is, I guess it's reactionary in the sense that it's like our model of how we see society is we want just, no more dudes.
No more dudes. What do you think in China their stance would be on gay parking spots?
They would say only parking spots for Chads.
Chad
So
spots.
China, it's like if you're a Chad, you get a free parking spot. If you go to the front, like this is what they're saying. There's no simps in video games. So basically they go, you can't be in the video game if, for example, you're just like if let's say there's a couple that are in a relationship and you're pretending to be the friend, but you're actually in love with her, you're out. You can't be in the video game. But if you actually do just go steal the guy's girlfriend like a Chad,
like Grand Theft Auto style.
Now you're allowed to be in the video game anymore. Like if you smashed, you're allowed to be in if you smashed.
No, what's so funny too? I'm like, they're talking, we're banning gay relationships from video games. I'm like, man, I'm so out of the loop of video games. I'm like, there's gay relationships in video games now? I was like, I haven't played video games in probably 10, 15 years.
I'm sure.
I don't
Well, it's the exact opposite of going here. It's like they're censoring all the stuff they don't like. Well, there's probably all sorts of things, right? So, I mean, that was the original person that they pissed off. It's like kind of the same thing where we're talking about now, where they're pissing off, the California hippies they're losing.
Yeah.
It's even their original group that they lost was the gamers.
Yeah.
And because if you're just some
the gamers who wanted the cans.
Yeah.
The gamers wanted the cans.
And
then they go, you've had enough cans.
And if
no more cans.
Yeah, if you're not paying attention, you don't realize how big, these groups actually come. They're like unions almost. Not unions, but they're like, not even voting blocks is the right word. But yeah, they do
hysterical mobs.
Social power.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're united. They're united, right? So there is some element of like just losing all these big groups. They're like, groups have, their individual influence in certain ways, right? But if you look at how much people would be for all of everything they're doing if you just switched the things that they're banning. Mm-hmm. Also,
like making cans mandatory.
They actually did make. That's one of the things they said. But it's funny to think of, like, if you were going to be in the video, right? Like if me and you were
in the game.
Yeah. I like the idea of them having like a panel of just Chinese bros, like deciding whether you're fucking masculine enough.
I actually was reading
just
this article.
Fucking dogs from China.
And I'm like, how many people work in the censorship industry in China?
Oh, so many.
That must be one of the biggest industries in the whole country is just censorship.
Yeah. It is. It's like a field if you go to college there, to be a censor.
You gotta fucking watch everything, play every game, like watch every website.
But I will say to you, not only do we have our actual censorship industry, the media, well, people, the freelance censorship here, like it kind of is an industry here too. It's legit.
But not government. It's not to that degree.
Well, we have government censors as well, but we also have the private sector of censors.
Karens, if you will.
The panel of Chinese bros just there being like, I don't know, his posture's not that masculine. Which, by the way, there is I feel like the one thing this is the thing. People in the chat sometimes will comment and be, call me feminine and stuff like this. And this is what they don't realize. And the Chinese bros might get me. They don't.
I mean, Ryan Long, the video game's been banned in China, but go on.
No, I wouldn't be though. That's the thing. These people don't get. Unlike Jane, I'm feminine in the way that Mick Jagger's feminine. I'm rock and roll feminine. It's a very different, which is actually pussy crusher feminine.
Pussy crusher feminine.
That's the thing. These people don't realize
basically
that.
What you're saying is China just needs to get
like
to
Prince.
know you a
I'm
little
Mick Jagger.
better. And once they did, they'd be like, "Oh, this guy's actually crushing it." We want more Chinese people to be like this guy.
Me and my legend friends, Danny doesn't know what I was saying. Instead of the slut walk, the dudes just have a legend walk. I think we were saying
it's
that.
more of a strut.
The fucking legend strut. But people don't get that. Like it is kind of an interesting culture, like band culture or whatever, because it is a little bit flamboyant and all that stuff. But at the same time, it is kind of a very masculine culture. It's sort of an interesting duality.
Yes.
And a lot of arts cultures are like that. But you would look at that and you go, oh, Prince is gay. If you knew Prince, you go, that motherfucker ain't gay.
No.
That guy's more of a man than you fucking ever be.
Well, they have a different kind of band culture.
Like the singer of fucking Judas Priest isn't gay. Like, oh, Elton John's gay.
I was going to say, I'm like,
yeah, he's gay.
That guy is gay, right?
Well, he's kind of funny because he basically
Rob Halford?
Started wearing all the leather stuff, yeah. And then all the kind of like metalhead guys started dressing like gay guys.
Like leather daddies.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I could, if which came first. I think a lot of people like that narrative. It's probably a little bit of both. But basically,
a bit of an overlap.
I don't know if a gay guy made gay cool for metalheads or a gay guy started making metal gay.
So what are the kids in China going to masturbate to if they only have like 3 hours a day? Because they only have 3 hours a day to
They have to crank one out quick.
Well, there's no cans anymore.
Well, this is the can-oriented line. They said characters must have a clear gender and storylines are prohibited from having blurred moral boundaries. So when you say characters must have a clear gender, boobs. Like,
boobs,
what else could that possibly mean?
That's basically it. Long hair and boobs.
Well, that's kind of what that means. So it's like, this is China's policy is very like what me and my friends in like the film world used to joke about. We used to say that the old like key grips. You ever heard the old key grip jokes? They can be sort of extrapolated to anything, but it's like, what do you call a key grip with how do you know that a key grip just got laid?
How? 2
clean fingers. It's like some gross jokes, right?
Yeah.
But we used to say the policy on set was all you need to know is no gay shit, no fat chicks, and keep them cold. You go. So this is what China's sort of policy is. They're saying for their video games, they go, no gay shit, no fat chicks, no small tits, keep them cold.
Sounds like they're fucking...
Beers have to be cold.
China's for the boys.
China's kind of...
I wonder if
no men doing laundry in the video game.
I wonder if this podcast has any listeners in China.
I wonder.
If we're allowed.
Yeah, the clear gender, they definitely mean titties. That's no question. And I think they make the characters have to do like a motorboat test. So they have another character. They make them bring in a life-size version of the character, and then the Chinese censor bros. They kind of come up and they go, boom. They go, yeah. I'd like to see them a little bigger.
They just measure like the depth on their head to see how far deep they can get their head in there.
Yeah.
It's like anything past the ear and we're good to go.
Me and Paul used to always love that. It's like if you're going to a strip club or whatever scenario, you're motorboating titties and someone else is motorboating titties and you have to give yourself the boating nod. The boater's nod. And yeah.
Like out on the water?
Yeah, it's out on the water. The boater's nod from motorboating. They said they were told these with the wrong value orientation, pornography and violence must be outed. So unfortunately, titties are kind of back out because they don't like anything to pornography.
No.
And technology developers were briefed to firmly boycott any ill cultures such as money worshipping, effeminate males, and boys' love. So to me, that just sounded anti-Semitic, a bit of a dog whistle where they, where they said
The money and the boys love.
no, they're banning dog money worshippers.
Money worshippers.
Doesn't that feel a tad?
Yeah, I mean, they like fucking...
If you go, you know, I liked all the people there except for the few money worshippers.
The money worshippers.
And you point to your nose.
It is weird because they are a very like consumer culture there. They're all into like status and buying just fucking dumbass shit that's expensive.
Crazy rich Asians.
Yeah, exactly. But even in China.
Well, they think that's a bad thing, but that's all part of kind of it boils down to places like that where everyone has their own, you know, they always kind of need their religion that you have to be beholden to.
Mm-hmm.
And here that religion is, you know, social justice or whatever.
Yeah.
And there the religion is the state.
Yeah, it's the Communist Party.
Yeah, exactly. So if to be honest, like that is one of those, you know, why there, you know, there's a lot of people that talk about whether or not China is really like the biggest threat to US. And I've heard kind of compelling arguments on both sides.
Yeah.
I would say that but there is people like to, even on both sides, people like to glorify other cultures to some degree, like they have it all together, but they do have a lot of their own problems. But one of the big things that they're dealing with is when, you know, those tech companies get too big and they're censoring them and all that stuff. A lot of it is just straight up the government, like showing those elites that who's boss.
100%. Because it's not like, you know, they have all their, and a lot of those companies all like work with the military and all that stuff. They're all intertwined, like
They're all intertwined
pretty heavily, and they all work for, like, they're letting you be a billionaire. Like they're like
they want you to.
Whereas in America,
that.
you can be a billionaire in spite of the government,
and then tell the government to, you know, fuck himself, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like Elon Musk style, or like, you know, tells the SEC to suck his dick and all that stuff. Whereas they're
no
like,
way.
They're like no. They're like we're kind of a tandem.
They'll bring you in and be like. They bring you in with the 19 government officials and they go, you mentioned sucking dick and you said we'd be doing it to you. Well, we're going to leave here today and one of us is getting our dick sucked. Who do you think that's going to be, pal?
Here's a chapstick.
Alibaba.
And
then they said over 30,000 gamer accounts have been removed and 96,000 silenced over rule violations. So again, it's like the same shit. They're removing accounts and they remove your accounts. Like, for example, if you're playing like a girl, not taking chances in the video game.
No.
If you're very too cautious, things like that. If you're playing like a strategy game and you spend way too much time like making food as opposed to
just puttering around, not really getting much done, but really wasting time.
If you, you're afraid of confrontation, for example.
Yeah.
Puttering around, afraid of confrontation. That's one thing.
Not on time for anything.
Yeah.
You know, just regular stuff.
Yeah, if you show up.
Just regular unmanly
You take
traits.
too much time like picking your character and getting it ready.
You're obsessed with your avatar, but not of completing anything in the game. You know.
If you spend too much time.
Check stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you do that, that's the kind of shit that gets your account taken away. They said rule breachers include improper political remarks, but obviously their improper political remarks is just a different version than here.
Yeah.
Superstition, rumor, pornography, vulgar content, cyberbullying, privacy speech, and discriminatory comments. So exact same here with just different morals. You know, Western here, it's every superhero has to wear a dress.
It is crazy though, because like you really know that in China, like someone's listening to everything in every video game. Like that really is.
That is wild.
Like it is really getting like, I feel like, you know, I'm sure you can get slide stuff by, but not to the extent where like, I'm sure people drop like, you know, people say crazy shit on like Xbox Live and then someone reports them who like was in it versus like a moderator. Whereas there it's like the moderator is, or whatever AI or whatever they're using is the one who's actually like catching it.
Yeah. There's actually a guy sitting there with a toga on. Just crushing beers.
And just listening. He has like fucking headset in each ear. Just
yeah. And he's getting blown.
Well, they got so many people. They got to put him to work somehow.
Yeah.
Right? They got tons of fucking people.
So it was kind of making me laugh that idea that this stuff's kind of like accidentally for the boys, which I wanted to do a segment. Remember that song? Accidentally in love. So when someone does something that's supposed to be social justice, but it's accidentally for boys.
This is that. I like one of the things I was reading in the thing where they go, authorities and state media have repeatedly lashed out at male stars who wear heavy makeup and project a feminine image, saying Chinese boys should become more manly.
Well, that's because they don't. That's why they're banning like the boy bands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is not to be confused with again me and Prince,
But also,
me and Mick Jagger, me and Steve Tyler, guys, cool masculine guys.
but also
us.
like that level of self-awareness where they go, yeah, you know, our dudes kind of do look like our chicks. So it's like, I mean, like I know people make fun of us about that, but it is kind of true. So
Yeah.
why are we giving these people more ammo?
That's true.
Let's really differentiate them.
But the
do you think how far away do you think they are from mandatory breast implants for all women above like 16?
I would say that they've discussed it at the very
It's
least.
that conversation has happened where you go, look, let's give every girl fucking double D's.
And they have a moment of like, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
And they're thinking, but they're holding breast implants. They're like squeezing the little squeeze things.
Yeah, they're so for the boys that they have like breast implants for their stress balls.
I went to a party with my girl. Her friend was like a surgeon or whatever, and he's a plastic surgeon, and he had all over his apartment fucking breast implants.
That's pretty funny that he's just putting it out.
He
That
just
is
has them
ass
on,
man
like on
styles.
his total ass man, but on his coffee table. We should maybe get some for the fucking
That's such a funny thing to
for the
have.
studio. He had them like, and they're just like he had like all over his coffee table, just breast implants.
Nice.